Have you ever stopped to think about what makes someone a real expert? I mean, truly an expert in their field. It's not just about one big idea or some single flashy breakthrough. Nope, it's way, way deeper than that. So let's dive in and really deconstruct the anatomy of what it takes. And we're going to start with a question that is just huge. It affects every single one of us on the planet. How in the world do we feed everybody? This isn't just some thought experiment, right? This is one of the most critical challenges we face, and it's exactly the kind of problem that demands genuine, hard-earned expertise. You know, the path to becoming an expert often starts right here, in the big picture. It's about being able to see these massive, complex issues that define our times, and, just as important, being able to explain them to the rest of us. It's seeing the whole forest long before you start examining a single tree. So first up, that big one we just mentioned, food security. A real expert in this space is constantly framing this not as just a farming issue, but as one of this century's absolute key global challenges. They make it crystal clear why this should matter to everyone. But see, it never stops there, because these problems are all connected. True expertise means you get that you can't talk about food without also talking about this scary decline in biodiversity. I mean, that's the very foundation of the ecosystem that grows our food in the first place. And of course, you can't really tackle either of those without facing the harsh reality of environmental degradation. So, an expert's first job? It's to communicate these big, tangled-up challenges. They have to paint that full picture of what's really at stake for all of us. Okay, so having that global view is absolutely essential, but expertise gets truly powerful when it gets focused. So let's zoom in a bit, from the whole world down to a single nation, and see how these giant ideas can be tailored to create a clear, actionable vision. So, what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, it looks like asking really specific questions, like how can a country like Pakistan become a powerhouse in agriculture? It means coming up with innovative ideas like maybe farm outsourcing could be the next IT outsourcing. And it means focusing on real goals, like improving life in rural areas and empowering local communities. This is where those big ideas start to feel tangible. And this is the pivot point. This is the part that most of us never, ever get to see. Because behind all the big articles and the national strategies, there's a foundation built on something else entirely, something incredibly detailed. So welcome to the hidden bedrock of expertise. We're talking about the years, sometimes decades, of meticulous, painstaking scientific research. You could almost think of this as the source code behind all those big world-changing ideas. And you can see this shift immediately. Suddenly, we're not talking about improving farming anymore. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty, how a specific bacterial treatment can affect the growth of something as precise as a single cotton seedling. And it goes even deeper. Now we're looking at the fundamental building blocks of life. What is the perfect amount of nitrogen for a specific type of sugarcane to thrive? Not a bit too much, not a bit too little. That's the kind of question this research answers. And the work is just relentless. It's not just nitrogen and sugarcane, it's potassium and sunflowers. You see, every single crop, every nutrient, it's a completely different puzzle that has to be solved with rigorous, repeatable science. I mean, just think about this level of detail for a second. Does the size of a single seed actually matter? You bet it does. And it matters differently for different genetic versions of the exact same plant. This is the kind of granularity, the kind of deep dive that builds true mastery. Okay, I know, that was a whole bunch of technical terms flying at you, so let's just pause on one of them. Rhizobia inoculation. All that really means is adding good, helpful bacteria to a plant's roots. These little guys then pull nitrogen, which is basically plant food, right out of the air. It's a totally natural and frankly brilliant way to help plants grow. See, the science can be complex, but the ideas behind it are often pretty elegant. So here's the crucial point. You've got the big public ideas on one side, and you've got this deep scientific foundation on the other. The final piece of the puzzle is taking all that hard-won knowledge and actually putting it to work, solving real-world problems for real clients all over the globe. And you can see that that application stretches back a long way. The journey goes from developing agro-industry in Turkmenistan back in the 90s, all the way to teaching new grape cultivation techniques in China and planning organic rose production in Canada. That's decades of applying this knowledge in the real world. You know, real expertise is also incredibly versatile. Just look at this. In the exact same country, in the exact same year, this expert was tackling two completely different challenges. On one hand, you've got promoting organic cotton. On the other, figuring out how to turn crop waste into energy. Same place, totally different problems, all drawing from the same core of knowledge. And that versatility has to be adaptable, right? The core scientific principles might be the same, but applying them to growing grapes in China is a world away from planting a blueberry farm in Canada. You've got different climates, different economies, different cultures. That's the ultimate test of real-world expertise. So let's just boil this all down. The anatomy of an expert really seems to follow this three-step path. First, you identify and communicate the big problems. Second, you build that deep, often hidden foundation of scientific knowledge. And third, you apply all of it to solve very specific practical problems. It's so important to see all three parts, because we usually only see step one, the articles, the big talks, and we mistake that for the whole story. But the real authority, the real expertise, is built on those other two layers, the years of detailed research and hands-on application that happen far away from any spotlight. And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. When we're looking for experts to solve our biggest problems, what are we really looking for? Are we looking for the flash of a single brilliant idea? Or are we looking for the quiet, steady dedication of a lifetime spent mastering the details?